feel that it is every one of our duties as an individual to step in and offer what we can offer from our heart space. Our offering doesn't need to always be in teaching. I think the most profound way of actually offering is sharing. Just the same way this podcast is about sharing our individual stories. We let the energy flow through us in the hope that, it kind of brings another person into an aha moment, or it opens a little doorway. Or at the time that perhaps they're going through some challenging times, it can change their perspective that every challenge, there is a door. And are we willing to go through that door?
Welcome to Inside the Circle, a series of conversations from Sangha. We sit down with our members and together we explore the practice of living fully in the modern world while staying connected to something deeper within. Through community, shared inquiry, and inner work, Sangha is an exploration into what becomes possible when we walk that path together in fellowship. The practice of living in the world but not being fully of it. To learn more about Sangha and our growing network of circles around the world, visit www.sangha.one. Welcome to this conversation with Shirin Hedayat. Shirin is an impact investor, entrepreneur, meditation teacher, and founder of Temple of Unity. As managing director of the Om Impact Fund, she invests in mission-driven startups focused on climate, education, health, and finance. With more than 2 decades of experience in finance, entrepreneurship, and startup advising, Shirin combines business acumen with a deep commitment to personal and collective transformation. She holds a master's degree in finance and a master's certification in intuition medicine. Through Temple of Unity, she leads meditation circles, retreats, and sound healing experiences that help people reconnect with their inner wisdom, cultivate peace, and live with greater sense of purpose and awareness. Welcome to this dialogue, Shirin.
Thank you. It's truly an honor to be here, Iain.
We've been kicking off these conversations with the same inquiry, which is really the core inquiry of Sangha itself, around that Sanskrit vibration or that notion of like-minded community and how to interpret it for this time. And so I would love to start there and ask you how that idea of Sangha is showing up in your life and what it really means to be in like-minded community for this time.
I feel truly that Sangha came to my space at exactly perfect divine timing. I have been holding sacred space for the community of like-minded people, leading people in meditation. But I felt mostly being a teacher in that community and holding this space for everyone else. And I was really seeking to find a community that I could become a member, but like-minded, and we all are learning from each other. And that's when Sangha entered my life. And I've been with Sangha for about 7 months. And the circles that we have, the individuals I've come to meet have enhanced and added so much into my life. Being able to share our life journey and being witness in absolute neutrality without any judgment has been such a healing process for me as I have been with Sangha. When we are in a group in absolute sacred space, something magical happens. And I truly have experienced that. So thank you for initiating or what be one of the co-founders of Sangha, Iain.
Oh, thank you, Shirin. As you know, it's really a co-creation, and amazing folks like yourself are what makes that possible. And there's definitely something in what you shared on. I mean, you're no stranger to sacred space. You create sacred space. You hold these circles, but in the role of holder and in the role of teacher, and it's definitely different being like showing up in a circle where everyone is kind of taking that responsibility for holding. Right? And I'd be really curious to explore with you how it feels different being in the because there's potency as well, of course, in holding the role of teacher, but just curious on the contrast between those two sacred spaces that are in your life.
It's very interesting. At one of the very beginning gatherings of Sangha, I think it was actually at Bruno's house, that I said, I am ready to melt down. I have been holding such a, when I was in financial consulting, I was always a financial advisor. People were looking up to me to tell them exactly what to do with their investments. And then when I moved on to, kind of leading groups in meditation, again, I held that role, and it was very interesting. Everyone wanted to either be like me or as peaceful as I seemed to be during those meditations. And I repeatedly said to people, I am not like this all the time either. We all live in this world, this physical world with constant ups and downs. So, but when we come to this sacred space, we can drop our guards down and reach that level of inner peace. So, but I still, while holding, as you said, the role. And when I joined Sangha at Bruno's house, I said, I am ready to melt down. I want to be held. And that is exactly what I have experienced. Even though in my sacred circles, I always say we learn so much from each other. And I have had many teachers in my circles. And through all of those circles, I have grown as a result so much. So the learning has been both ways. But still, you are the leader of that. And if you're stepping down, you need to make sure there's someone replacing you or someone stepping up in that role. Whereas in Sangha, I've been loving the experience of just showing up as me, fully offering and receiving, and really melting down to the core of my vulnerability and some of the perhaps traumas or heartaches that I haven't been able to resolve through myself, but being heard, witnessed in such a great space have allowed me to really lighten up, which allows me to bring more light into my space as I allow that to flow. So I've been deeply grateful, and I see that as the difference between the two. At least that is how I have experienced it.
I love the idea of lightening up and to allow for more light. And it's harder to do that um, when you're the holder, especially if you're, holding on your own, and sometimes, or in a small group, and sometimes it can be self-fulfilling too. Like you were sharing there, people that come to you and are like, "Oh, give me some of what you got," and there's an element of projection in that, right? It's like they're projecting onto you in some ways, can kind of be pedestaling slightly, and like that takes on a whole, like that can take on its whole own thing. I don't know if that has been your experience too, and sometimes people project that onto us.
That is definitely the case. Although I've been very aware of it, and I always emphasize on the fact that we all are sitting in a circle, and we're here to hold each other. So I've been very, very aware of that. But still, um, I would say there is a weight that I feel I have even carried because of that role. So I think that those are some of the areas that I was able to lift and work through my Sangha group. And it's very interesting because in my Sangha group, with the beginning retreat or gathering that we got together, it was such a profound healing for me that at that retreat, that I felt years of heaviness in some areas of my life just was released in those 3 days. And having said that, I am the kind of a person that goes through my own work and evolution on an ongoing basis. But there were parts that I wasn't aware that just got healed in that weekend, the magical weekend.
You melted.
I melted.
And it's funny, Yasmin, who's in your circle and has also been on this series. We were talking about community and really about it being kind of this receptive act, and I feel that in the words you're using too, of like just this letting go, this like surrendering. Like it's a very yin experience to be held in community. Um, and so melting is kind of perfect. It's the alchemy, right?
For many of us that have the awareness, we do our best, but at the end of the day, we're on this human journey, and no one is perfect. We don't have the full proof recipe, so we do need Sangha like community to help us notch those areas that I haven't been able, or we haven't been able to work through.
This is very alive for me right now in terms of teachers too, because everyone in Sangha has teachers. And my one of my teachers in India, there's been serious allegations of misuse of his power, and it's devastating. And at the same time, exactly as you said, we're all human and we're all incarnate. And so, yeah, I'm curious your relationship to your teachers and how you hold them in both their humanness and the power of the transmissions that they can give.
It's very interesting because I've had different teachers in my life that has helped me evolve. But there has not been one teacher for a very extended period of time. I have kind of evolved and kind of moved on. So I kind of always sense and feel who can help me get to the next level of my soul journey. And then I move on. And both Yasmin and I attended Academy of Intuitive Medicine. And that was the most profound experience that I went through in my evolution. And one thing that really stayed with me, the founder of that academy, Francesca McCartney, from the beginning of our certification program said, whoever you've been working with or whatever modality you've been working with, just set that aside for the duration of our journey and get to know what I'm trying to channel to you. Then you become your own guru. You do not need any guru to evolve any further. And so that really stayed with me because through that program, the access to my inner self, to my inner divine, to the universe beyond has been so powerful that I don't feel that I need to necessarily have a teacher. Although I come across situations that I gravitate towards some teaching or some pathway, that I go and immerse in that. And then my soul kind of is my only teacher. Because whatever I need to come across, whatever I need to learn, it's attracted into my life. And now I have so much confidence in that I know if something is showing up, that's where I need to go because that's where my next growth is in. So I don't necessarily have one teacher for an extended period of time that I have worked with. But there has been different teachers that have shown up in my life for a period of time.
Yeah, when we first started Sangha, we used to joke that it was the anti-guru structure, at least. And when we gather in physical spaces, most temple spaces, they have kind of the obvious place where the teacher sits, and it's like a little bit raised. And when Sangha gathers there, we place a bouquet of flowers, usually roses there, and each rose represents all the different teachers that each of us bring into that circle. And I felt that as a very integrated way of even how you're describing the way you're navigating and discerning what teacher when. There's like this sovereignty, this power. Like, I am my own guru, and but the roses can come. Like, I can bring different roses for different seasons, and they each inform ultimately the way that I can bring my own authentic truth.
Absolutely. Well said.
The other thread I would love to pull with you, your background is in finance, on the one side of the spectrum, and then on the other side, you've created this beautiful temple and organization, the Temple of Unity. And in between the weaving of those two, it seems like there's this other project, the Om Fund, which is kind of, at least from the outside and some early dialogues we've had on it, kind of bringing together your expertise in finance and how to support startups that are having the type of impact that you want to support. Could you talk a little about that project?
Finance was my natural ability. We all are good in some things and not so good in others. For instance, for me, science was very challenging. I didn't want to memorize, but I was very good in math. So that's why I ended up in finance. And I built a very successful business as a financial advisor, merely because I was never after making money. I was always after the helping people, and because finance was my strength, I came up with recommendations and modelings that my clients loved, and my business grew a lot. So when I actually retired from that, I noticed that there was a lot of funds being dispersed towards companies that are not, they don't have a soul, because the objectives of the founders was to come up with an idea that could make money and could make him rich. So I was like, but we do need a lot of help that we can offer to those companies that are trying to make it into the market, and they have products that can enhance our human journey, that can improve the health of our planet. And yes, at the end, we can make profit, but we don't need to put profit first. It's people and planet first, and then the profit. So I saw a little bit of a void, or somewhere that needed more support. And then one retreat, I was in Sedona with a very dear friend from a spiritual community, and we talked about our passion for wanting to help the human journey. And then that sparked into the Om Fund being created, and for us to do what we can do, and how can we nurture these founders of these startup companies. Yes, first the concept and the idea, but then how do we make these founders more aware of a larger dimension of our human life, so they can navigate through this journey more wholesome. And it has been a very fulfilling process. Although Om Fund is a very, very small fund, but the fact that we are making contribution in what we feel is important has really been a great journey for myself and my business partner. And even for the life of those founders that we have coached, and we have brought them into sacred spaces and help them navigate, or help them make decisions, not only analytically, but really, how do you make the decision intuitively? How do you tap into your intuition? So bringing those into the whole system to create perhaps profound change in the global world of entrepreneurship, because we do have companies that we work with that are outside of the United States as well.
Yeah, I love the global reach, and I also love the idea of an organization having a soul, or having a intent. And if that is purely financially driven, then the when with Sangha, we sometimes as a stewardship group kind of sit and tune into what Sangha wants to emerge. It's almost like become its own. entity, and it really has nothing to do with us, actually. Like, where we show up in kind of in service of what is unfolding, and yeah, to create a structure to allow for that type of listening for these entrepreneurs, and of course provide, it's not to throw out the analytical side, right?
Balance is everything.
Yeah,
The yin and the yang.
exactly. Yin yang, structure, flow, and navigating, because there are moments where um, what the need of the moment is, like fierce action towards a goal with our swords out, right? Cutting through to clarity and acting with precision. And then there are moments where we go into the melting receptivity, um, and it helps having, like the way you're serving these founders, in addition to investing, is when is the right time for, when are we in receptivity, when are we in dynamic action, like how do you navigate those two things? So it's beautiful to hear that work.
I feel that it is every one of our duties as an individual to step in and offer what we can offer from our heart space. Our offering doesn't need to always be in teaching. It's, I think, the most profound way of actually offering is sharing. Just the same way this podcast is about sharing our individual stories. We let the energy flow through us in the hope that, it kind of brings another person into an aha moment, or it opens a little doorway. Or at the time that perhaps they're going through some challenging times, it can change their perspective that every challenge, there is a door. And are we willing to go through that door and think about it differently? I feel like I have lived it, so far, I've lived a very fortunate and blessed life, I would say, but I've had my fair share of heartaches and challenging situations. But every single one of those challenges has been a doorway for me to evolve beyond what I was experiencing. And now, when I'm going through difficult times, I say I'm just surfing life. I'm just surfing life because I just need to keep my perspective on a much larger universe than who we are as a human, on a human journey, experiencing something that may seem difficult at that moment, but in a grand scheme of things, it helps. It helps navigating. Whether you are deeply in business, whether you're deeply in spiritual aspect of existence, keeping everything in perspective.
Yeah, the greater scheme is the perspective, and sometimes we, it's natural that we're like in it. But finding opportunities to see that greater scheme is the perspective.
And that's what really bring me forward into this. I was very, very happy, very successful in my world of finance, but then I was faced with challenges that the explanations I was receiving from outside world was just not satisfying me. And I say I was pinned to the wall. And where else would I go? I decided to go deep inside. And that was the dive that I took. And I am so grateful for that challenge in my life, without it, I don't know where I would be today. But with that, the opening and what I came to be and to witness and to know is beyond state of gratitude.
Mm. Beautiful. Well, we're coming towards the end of our time together, Shirin. Although I know we'll be together again many times, but we have been doing this thing where we draw a card that has a prompt in it to kind of honor the emergence of Sangha circles. So I'll draw the card and it'll take us in the direction of our last inquiry. What environment do you thrive in?
It's interesting that card came because I got an email this morning from one of my circle members who's also a teacher. And I read it. It was so profound. And I took it to my husband. I said, these are the people I want to surround myself with. So the environments is the environments of like-minded individual, open-hearted, that we can share this human journey with. No judgment. We show up as exactly who we are. Not what we do, not how much money we do have or don't have, or the kind of cars people drive. Just as this authentic, true self. And be there for each other through hardship, through joy, and laughter. Lots of laughter. Being in a state of joy. So that's the environment that I want to surround myself with.
Yeah, it feels like kind of coming back full circle to the beginning piece where you were talking about lightening, like the joy, there's like the lightness in that. And yeah, like an environment being really the people that inspire us, that move us. Yeah. And sometimes you don't realize it until there's enough of those people in your life and you're like, wow, it can really move us in different trajectories. So that's thriving, and that's the environment that we thrive in. Well, Shirin, thank you so much for dropping in together in this conversation. I look forward to many, many more over the years to come.
Thank you so much for including me in this circle of sharings. It was truly an honor, and looking forward to hear what other people have shared, and for Sangha to continue touching lives as you have done, and many more lives to be touched.
Thank you for listening to Inside the Circle from Sangha. If this dialogue resonated with you, we would love to hear from you. We invite you to learn more about Sangha, our upcoming circles and events at www.sangha.one.